Good evening at 6 o'clock in the council chambers, City of Marshfield, Tuesday, May 27th. Call to order, roll call. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C, identify possible conflicts of interest. Seeing none, move on to item D, public comment period, correspondence. At this time, I will recognize persons in attendance wishing to address the council. Upon recognition by me, persons may address the council first stating their name and address. Comments will be limited to no more than 5 minutes, and persons are asked to be respectful when addressing the council. No action will be taken regarding items not on the agenda. However, the council will take comments from the public under advisement. Please note that council members will not respond to your comments or questions. First on our list, Corey Lateral. And there's a little button you push right on the, there's a little zero, there you go.
Good evening. Corey Latorel, 2700 South Central Avenue, Marshfield, Wisconsin. My name is Corey Latorel. I'm the general manager of Hotel Marshfield since opening 12 years ago. I've also spent those 12 years serving on the Visit Marshfield board. My commitment also extends to a seat on the board of directors for the Wisconsin Hotel and Lodging Association. I'm here today to voice my support for Visit Marshfield. Visit Marshfield was formerly known as the Marshfield Convention and Visitors Bureau and has been an important part of the community and a good partner with the city for 33 years now. It's fulfilled all requirements of the current tourism entity agreement. Visit Marshfield is a 501c6 organization with 7 volunteers and 2 staff members. I'd like to thank the Common Council for hearing me. I'd also like to identify Mike Fear and Scott Coran. They also are board members for Visit Marshfield. I'd like to share just some numbers with the recent donations Visit Marshfield has awarded. But first, just a couple words about room tax. It seems to be something that not everyone is familiar with. So just a couple remarks really quickly about how this entity is funded. Visit Marshfield is funded by room tax. This is a practice that the hospitality industry instituted back in the early 1960s. This is a tax that is charged only to guests that are staying overnight and renting a room at any of the Marshfield hotels. 70% of this tax goes to the tourism entity, Visit Marshfield. 30% of it goes to the city to spend however they choose. The 70% that goes to Visit Marshfield, the tourism entity, must be spent on tourism promotion and tourism development. There's 3 categories that fall under those 2 types of tourism, and that is marketing, such as ad buys, transient tourist information, such as websites, tangible municipal development, such as funding a convention center. So the money has to be spent that way on those items. So that's kind of a 30,000-foot view of what room tax is and how it's spent. And here's where it's been spent lately in donations to the city of Marshfield and other organizations. For example, Wenzel Family Plaza Program Coordinator, $215,000. Wenzel Family Plaza Construction, $200,000. Community Grants, $170,000. Pickleball Lights, $80,000. Wildwood Zoo, $75,000. Van de Hey Waters, $30,000. Steve J. Miller Baseball Fields, $25,000. Central Wisconsin Fair, $20,000. Rotary Winter Wonderland, $17,500. Marshfield Young Professionals, $7,000. So just mentioning those couple of items add up to $837,000. A side note, by the way, just since 2016, the money that goes to Park and Rec has doubled since 2016. We had a fairly banner year in collecting room tax dollars in 2024. Although this list doesn't include the tens of thousands of dollars that are donated each year in promoting other events in town, I believe this list should demonstrate the value that Visit Marshfield brings to the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Corey. Are there any other citizen comments? Are there any other citizen comments? Seeing no citizen comments, moving on to item E, approval of minutes, May 13th, 2025 regular meeting and May 20th, 2025 special meeting. We have a motion by Alderman Giles, second by Alderman Tompkins. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yeah. Yeah.
That motion passes. Thank you. Staff updates.
I'm not aware of any this evening.
Mayor's comments. First of all, I'm going to read a proclamation honoring Brooks Hinson. City of Marshfield, Wisconsin proclamation honoring Brooks Hinson. Whereas our outstanding accomplishments as a student athlete at Marshfield High School, along with your dedication, discipline, and passion for basketball, have inspired our community and exemplified the values of hard work and perseverance. And whereas from humble beginnings, shooting hoops in the first and second grades and learning inside your older brothers, you discovered a deep passion for the game. That passion propelled you to become the all-time leading scorer for the Marshfield Tigers boys basketball team and to help lead the team to the WIAA State Boys Basketball Tournament. And whereas your efforts and achievements have earned you the full athletic scholarship to Northern Michigan University, a Division II basketball program. Further proof of your talent, character, and commitment to the sport. And now therefore be it resolved, I, Lois T. Strick, Mayor of the City of Marshfield, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, May 27th, 2022 as a day to celebrate the accomplishment of Brooks Hinson. I encourage you to continue pursuing your dreams on and off the court. You make Marshfield proud. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and seal this May 27th, 2025, Lois T. Strick, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
The second item on my list this evening, I'm going to give you a farmer's market update. As many of you know, the farmers markets at Festival Foods was at risk of dissolving due to all the state regulations. Luckily, Mackey stepped up and will be taking this over for 1 year. They're working in forming a group to take on the farmers market going forward. If anyone's interested in being a part of that committee, or if they are interested in being a vendor, please reach out to Mackey. Again, Mackey, thank you for stepping up. Thank you for your support, and hopefully we can find somebody to run it next year. Item H, council comments. Seeing none. Item I, city administrator's update.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two things. First of all, a reminder that we have a meeting here 2 nights from tonight, Thursday, May 29th at 6 p.m. It's a joint meeting with the Community Development Authority Board. We'll be talking about the Weinbrenner redevelopment project. We'll have Jay Jeffers, our developer, here to present information and answer council questions, and look forward to a good discussion that night. So that'll be here in the council chambers, 6 p.m., 2 nights from tonight, Thursday, May 29th. The only other item, and I know I mentioned this last time, but I think it bears repeating because we don't often get this here in our community, but we do have a clean sweep collection of the pesticides and all the materials it's difficult to dispose of otherwise. It'll be at the Ag Research Station on Saturday this week, May 31st from 8 a.m. to noon. And you can go to the, I believe, maybe on our website, certainly on the county's website as well, a list of the things that are acceptable and not acceptable, or you can call the county health department at 715-421-8440 for more information. But again, we encourage people, probably people like me, I'm guessing, that are hearing this, that have a hard time getting rid of some of those old things. It may be something you can take to the center. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve. Item J, reports from commissions, boards, and committees. Seeing none, moving on to item K, consent agenda, meeting minutes and reports. Motion by Alderman Dellis, second by Alderman Fire. Alderman Weigel.
Could I pull the May 20th Board of Public Works meetings?
Yes. 31, yes, sir. Anything else? Okay, we have a motion and a second, and this is to approve. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros,
Yes.
That motion passes, and we'll go back down to item 31, Board of Public Works. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you. This is mainly directed to Mr. Wolfgram here, so I apologize for not reaching out earlier, but with that amendment to the weed ordinance, is a subsection 3 the correct place to put that when we have a definition of what a weed is, and then in subsection 1 it says what we're doing?
It is unusual to do an exception by referencing back to the definition, but I think in this situation, because of the overall structure of the ordinance, it basically was the simplest and probably the most direct way to be able to create the exception. You're basically setting up with the definition of, lengths of grass within that definition, and then by exempting specifically out for that 1 month, it's really the easiest way. The only other way that you could have done this now, the way that ordinance came to me for review is staff kind of had already drafted up a proposed way of addressing it, and so I reviewed that and said, yeah, that's okay. The only other way to do it, though, would be to rewrite the whole entire ordinance, just because of the structure of the existing ordinance. I think it does do what they're looking to do.
Okay, yeah, I just like to, my concern is just that it just kind of seemed out of place. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, maybe within the definition itself, within subsection 2, add that basically the same verbiage essentially. But if you think it's okay, then I'm okay with it too.
No,
Okay. Wonderful, thank you.
Anything else to go before this? And now we have a motion by Alderman Weigel, second by Alderman Dellis. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros,
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item M, presentation, value of the utility, presented by Nicholas Cum, General Manager, Marshfield Utilities.
See if we can get the technology to work here. Just a second. There's no audio with this one, so hopefully it's a little bit easier.
Did you want me to sing along? Because I can do that.
All right, so hopefully that's working. Well, thank you. As was mentioned, this is the annual value of the utility presentation that we provide every year from the utility. Before I get into the presentation itself, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize the utility commissioners. A number of them are here tonight. So we have Mike Ebro, the commission president, Gabriella Falke, Paul Kapla, Nate Mueller, Michael Riley, Nick Paschal, and Natasha Tompkins. For the presentation itself, I'd like to recognize Jessica Lure from our office. She did put all the graphics together and all the information, did a wonderful job doing that. And also the management team that helped give her the information to help put it together. So I just wanted to commend them for all their efforts in putting this together. So with that, we'll kick it off. As you can see, this year's has a little bit different look to it, a little eye-catching, and hopefully just trying to refresh it to make it new and appealing to other audiences. So together we achieve greatness. So we'll go through a couple different sections here. First, we'll talk a little bit about city collaboration. So on here, you can see a number of different areas where we collaborate. And specifically, as you look at coordinating projects, we work together as it relates to water main and lead service line replacements so that we can align them when road construction efforts are going on. So we're hopefully disrupting the property owners as limited as possible. Shared costs, some of the areas that we share cost is there's the annual GIS software that we use for mapping. We share in that cost. Every 5 years, there's an aerial photo update as well that we share in cost. And then there's a portion of the electrical inspector's position here at the city that the utility pays for and funds. The wastewater billing, obviously every month we send out bills on behalf of wastewater based on the water consumption that was used by our property. And then finally, we support the city emergency services two-way radio system. We have 2 of their towers, one of them on one of our water tower on the north side of town. And we also have another one at the main office on our communication pole, rent-free. Some of our educational outreach, we believe our success starts and ends with our team. To sustain the success into the future, our strategy has been focusing on advancing and educating and engaging potential team members at every stage, from early childhood, like 4K and 5K, through the 4th grade and 8th grade level, along with high school, and then even post-secondary education. We're focusing on building partnerships and strong relationships so that we can make sure that we have a workforce to support us for the future. As you can see, we've had a number of engagements this year, along with almost 1,200 students that we've reached out to or connected with through those engagements. Each monthly electric bill includes a charge for public benefits. This is required by the state to support programs like Focus on Energy and the Energy Assistance Program. As you can see, MU's customers contributed approximately $100,000 to each of those initiatives, and it's clear that our customers are actively benefiting from them. You can see on Focus on Energy, over $240,000 in incentives were received by our customer base. And then on the Energy Assistance Program, $158,000 were received to support them to pay for their electric bills. The bottom graphic shows and highlights how we are continuing to seek grant opportunities that help lower the cost to our customers, be it on their private side lead replacement projects. And we've also done public side and PFAS treatment grants and the LED street lighting projects that we have ongoing as well. That one just highlights the private side there on the graph. So counting on us. So on the left here, you can see that we've experienced 228 outages last year in 2024. Unfortunately, our friends, the squirrels, I don't know if there's a proclamation we can make against them possibly, but they're the largest culprit, unfortunately, of the outages, along with trees and birds. On the right, you see that our Marshfield utilities, on average, our average duration for an outage was 16 minutes, and that's basically taking all the outage minutes and dividing it by our number of customers. And you can see that that number, 16, is significantly lower than the national average of 149 minutes for the U.S. electric utilities. We're committed to maintaining this high level of reliability by investing in our system, such as underground conversions, proactively tree trimming, and equipment hardening to help keep the lights on for our customers. And then water reliability. Each day we provide the community just under 2 million gallons of water. And as you can see on the graph there, it's almost 750 million gallons in total. And then last year we experienced 24 main breaks, which is down from our average of about 36. And part of that's due to our annually we're reinvesting between $500,000 and $1 million into the water main infrastructure and to lessen service interruptions to our customers into future years. We can connect and support our customers through various methods. You can see those on the screen. The text interactions, I would note, not only include customers texting us through our platforms, but us sending text out to our customers, like notices of doing water flushing, when someone's bill is overdue, when we have a planned outage, and those times when customers are subject to disconnect. They'll receive these text messages. We also have, and it's not noted on the diagram or the picture there, is that we have a chat feature that our customers can use through our website as well. It's not as prevalent or used, but it is an option for customers that want to use that platform to connect with us. And you can see the total number of calls, almost 22 and a half days of talk time. So that's quite a long phone call. Next, talking about our local investment. So our focus on our team members has led to, low rates of turnover, as you can see at 2%, and led to us to have an experienced team with nearly over 11 years of experience. Last week, an interesting story is that we had our first youth apprentice that we brought on board 4 years ago. He did 2 years with us and then did 2 years at college. We were actually able to extend him a full-time offer, and he actually accepted it and has joined our team full-time, which is, just a success story. And using that program, leveraging it, building that relationship, and then getting him interested in our, the stuff that we do, if you will.
Wonderful, congratulations. That's a big step.
Thank you.
For all of you.
As you can see, whenever we possible, we try to utilize local resources to support our operations with nearly $5 million of spending in 2024 alone. And then on the bottom right, that basically talks about our team and how we support various causes locally. We're committed to the community through volunteering, serving on various boards, and obviously taking on various roles of local nonprofit organizations. And a number of our staff members didn't want to fill up multiple slides with it, but as you can imagine, we have a lot of individuals that are contributing to the community through these various opportunities. Next is the Benjamins. So the bar graph illustrates how our electric residential rates compare to those of neighboring communities. And as you can see, over the course of a year, we're saving our residential customers approximately $400 compared to other communities in the area. This information was compiled by our team, but everything here is publicly available. You go to their rates. You can go to each one of the utilities that they're served by, the Alliance and the Clark and so on, figure out what their rates are and apply it. It's a pretty straightforward calculation. So you can just see that being a municipal-owned electric utility compared to some of the IOUs and the cooperatives, we're able to save our customers a considerable amount of money on a monthly or even on an annual basis. I think some of that's attributed to our low operating margins, trying to be as fiscally sound as possible. There isn't stockholders that we're trying, or stakeholders that we're trying to pay a dividend to, or a share price, if you will. So some of those things are contributing factors. So this bar graph now pivots a little bit and shows how our water rates compare to the neighboring communities. I think as you can see, our water rates are about average to the other communities. And one of the things that the challenges we face is that water resources in the Marshfield area are less abundant and more difficult to access than maybe some of these other communities, which ultimately increases our cost. Additionally, we found the presence of PFAS here in the city. We've been dealing with lead services as well. And with PFAS, obviously, we had to put in a treatment and removal systems, and obviously all of that increases cost and results in some of the numbers you see there. Next, a little bit about the pilot payment. So this chart or this graphic basically compares Marshfield in the center of the green with Wisconsin Rapids and Stevens Point. In Wisconsin Rapids, they have a municipal electric and water utility, just like we do here in Marshfield. Stevens Point has a water utility that's a municipal like us. However, their electric is served by an investor-owned utility. So kind of just working our way down the chart, you can see the water pilot is about the same through the three communities, just scales a little bit based on the size of the community and the infrastructure that they have. The utility aid payment is revenue from the Department of Revenue. That's for investor-owned electric and gas utilities specifically, and their facilities and what their sales are in the communities. The next line, the electric pilot, that's something that municipal utilities provide, and that's why Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids both have dollars there listed, whereas Stevens Point, like I mentioned, is an investor-owned utility, and there's no electric pilot that's given to the city. The next line shows contributions over pilot, and you can see, and then at the bottom is the total showing how much MU is provided compared to the other communities around us. I think it's, just shows part of the value and how we're helping to support the general fund and obviously economic development in the community and the dollars that you can see here. So being able to recycle dollars here locally and bringing them back to the community to help support operations. So next, getting into some of the achievements from last year. As you can see, we had a number of accomplishments last year. We were focused on workforce, capital investment, obviously to harden our facilities, community outreach. We had the completion of the community care project, which is a project where we were celebrating our 120th anniversary. We tried to do 120 good deeds for the community, and we did quite a bit of outreach and social media with that. And then finally, you can see a number of new tools for our customer base. We updated our billing statements, and we now have also a real-time outage map that you can go to our website. Up in the upper right, there's a link to the outage map. You can click on it and kind of get a sense of where outages are. Unfortunately, you can't zoom into your particular house to see if it's out or not, and that's done purposefully just from a security perspective. We want to provide you a high enough level that you could see that there's outages in your area, in your neighborhood, but we don't want to get to your house level because obviously if they know my house is out of power, the bad guys might decide that they want to do something. So we're just trying to be mindful of that. And then moving on, so some of the things that we're working on for this year. So 2025, focuses on similar items. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. One of them is the LED streetlight program. We currently have 47% of the streetlights in the city that have been converted to LED. So we're well on our way of moving forward with that. Unfortunately, I read this morning that we're having some challenges getting supply chain for new lights, but we'll continue to pound on that to make sure we can change out the remainder of those. Hydrant painting continues. We have, and you probably noticed this as you've driven around town, we've changed the color scheme. And actually I have to compliment the fire chief for bringing this forward. The caps will have different colors, and those colors signify the water flow variables, or the volume, I should say, of the water flow. And that really helps the fire department assist them when they're trying to fight a fire. Then they can understand what type of water flows they can expect. Lead service replacements continue. We currently have just under 600 on the public side and 92 on the private side. The commission has directed us to try to do that in 3 years or less. So we are moving fast forward as we can on that. And just kind of fast forwarding or forecasting forward, I will be back in front of you guys, hopefully in the next couple of weeks to a month, as we try to get some approvals related to some federal funds that'll help support the private side replacement. So that's something that's ongoing, and like I said, hopefully back here in a few months. So I know I'm a very riveting speaker and I kept your attention, so thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Any questions from the council? Nick, thank you for that report. Thank you to your terrific employees and also the commissioners. Alderman Spiros?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't have any questions, but I did take note of a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. The 2% turnover rate within your employees and the 11.28 average years is really remarkable, and it says a lot about the environment that's created there for people who work there. I think that's really impressive. The average outage time of 16 minutes. I've taken note of this many times on the few occasions that we have been without power, how very quickly it's been restored every time. And I thought that was always impressive. It's not been my history in other places and other communities that I've lived, that there's been such a quick return of power. And the collab between yourself and the fire chief for the hydrant painting, I think, is impressive. So I just wanted to congratulate you on all of those little bullet points.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Spiros. And thank you again for the report. Looking forward to your next one. Item N, first reading of ordinance number 1530, amending section 18-158 of the Marshfield Municipal Code, public hearing presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this one clearly should be categorized as a housekeeping ordinance. I'll explain why here in a second, but it's not very substantive. It doesn't change anything we've been doing. 2017 Wisconsin Act 67 established new requirements for conditional use permits. I think we've maybe talked before in the past, if you've been on the council for a while. One of those was to require that there be some evidence from a plan commission and ultimately a council for denial of a conditional use permit request along the lines of parking, traffic, whatever, but something to show data as to why you would not accept it. But one of the sideline things that came out of that act from Madison was to require a Class 2 public hearing notice for all conditional use permits. Many cities, including the city of Marshfield, had been doing Class 1 only, which is one notice in the paper 7 days before the meeting. So we went ahead and we changed. We began doing that. For the last 7 years plus, we've been having a Class 2 notice sent out for those, publishing it twice, and again, the second time being at least 7 days before the meeting. However, we never went back into our code and changed our own ordinances. So the ordinance here you have before you is to really modify the municipal code to match what we've been doing in practice in accordance with state law for quite a while. And that would be to require a Class 2 notice with all conditional use permit requests. So with that in mind, that's the only change that this ordinance would be. With that in mind, it's a first reading, so we're not looking for any action tonight, but I would take any questions. Otherwise, we'll set this for council action on June 10th.
Alderman Tompkins?
Correct me if I'm not right, but our city clerk, are we spending $16,000 a year for these newspaper notices? Is that about how much we're spending?
My budget for Marshfield News Herald is about 20,000, and there's more in other departments, but they are legally required, so we have no way around those.
I think it would be lovely if, at our state level, if that requirement could be changed. So in the era of websites and text messaging and other ways of Facebook and other ways of communication, it would definitely help our budget if that was no longer a requirement. I know that no one in this room can help with that, but maybe someone could reach out to the state. Thank you.
And we've tried, and I think others, members of the League, Wisconsin municipalities have tried for a while, but we can make another pitch for that because there's a lot of merit to what you're asking.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, move on to item O, first reading of ordinance number 1531, amending section 19-63 of Marshfield Municipal Code subdivision planning, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. This one is also partial housekeeping, but it's also a little bit more substantive. Some things we've caught with respect to what's required in ordinance in terms of subdivision improvements by a developer, and then whether or not the city of Marshfield can participate in some of those costs. You may require that last year we did approve an ordinance amendment that allowed us to participate in some required infrastructure improvements with a development agreement, but also it had to be in a tax increment financing district. We did that with the Denyon project over there at 21st and Washington. This goes a little bit beyond that. So you've got the memo probably in front of you. I just want to hit on the highlights of the things that are the most substantive in nature. This ordinance would clearly require that all newly created lots have to have the specified improvements, if there was any doubt. It also specifies who's expected to pay for those requirements. It does, however, say that the city can participate in infrastructure improvements for development if there's a development agreement that makes that possible. It does give the council the opportunity to decide if they want to be participants financially in the cost of the street, sewer, and water for a project. It also says that there's the requirement for improvements can be waived by approval from the Board of Public Works and the council as part of a development agreement. So even though it says they must all be put in, that's possible to waive. Probably familiar with the fact that sometimes we can waive the curb and gutter requirement if in fact it's deemed that a ditch street would be acceptable in a certain neighborhood. This goes beyond that to make it clear that the Board of Public Works and the council have the authority to waive any required improvements if they see fit in a particular circumstance. And then finally, it says that if developer assistance is needed, that would be spelled in the agreement. And if the developer is not able to install the necessary utilities, that will need to be spelled out in a development agreement as well. The remainder of the things you see in this ordinance that are being changed are housekeeping and administrative in nature and rather small. Again, this is not being requested for action tonight. It's a first reading only. I would take any questions or comments from the council. Otherwise, we'll put it on for the second reading and adoption on June 10th.
Any questions, comments from the council? Seeing none, move on to item P, first reading of ordinance number 1532, amending section 11-06 of Marshfield Municipal Code weed ordinance, presented by Josh Moritz, Acting Director of Public Works.
Thank you. This ordinance change really is just to make the No Mow May initiative basically permanent. This was something in years past we had to bring to the board every year for a resolution to really bring No Mow May to light every year. So this ordinance change, while it may be confusing the way it was written, it essentially sets May 1st through May 31st as a standing No Mow May period. Take any questions?
Any questions for Josh? Alderman Tompkins?
Josh, I was under the impression when this went through the Board of Public Works that it not only would just eliminate having to come back every year for that proclamation, but also residents would no longer be required to register. Is that correct?
I don't think it was ever a requirement to register. It may prevented you from getting a citation, but it was not a requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Josh? Thank you, Josh. We'll look for you in 2 weeks. Item Q, suggested items for further agendas. Seeing none. Item R, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin Statute Chapter 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Development assistance for project at West McMillan Street and St. Joseph's Avenue. We have a motion by Alderman O'Reilly, second by Alderman Weigel. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote to go into closed session.
Mrs. Sparrows?
Yes.
We are now in closed session. We will not take a break.